So here we are at Rainier Washington at the Awakening Center, and we have Michael Tellinger. How are we doing today, Michael?
Excellent. Lovely to see you, Tom.
Yeah, it's awesome to see you again. So how's your trip going?
It's going excellently. You know, it's always nice to come to the USA. It's my third annual trip, and met some amazing people and revisiting them and reconnecting. And we reconnected with Michal Ledwith last night. And
oh, nice.
The night before with James Gilliland and the guys at Assetti. So it's been fantastic, and all the way from New York State and New York City all the way up to Vermont and the Dowsers Association there, and our great friends like Sandy, Mac, and just people all along the way. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so driving the whole thing again?
Yeah.
Yeah, isn't this a beautiful country?
It's just the diversity is spectacular.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're sort of used to it from South Africa. It's just, this is just bigger.
Right. So some new developments there that you guys have come up with there in South Africa, that footprint.
Yeah.
That thing's absolutely blew me away when I saw it.
Yeah. The footprint is causing so much controversy, especially among the trained geologists and the homemade geologists,
right,
who all know about granite and how it's formed, and automatically jump up and down that, you know, it can't be a footprint because if it's granite then it's impossible and all that kind of stuff. And I say, you know, I understand the problems with the footprint in granite. That is why I'm showing it to you.
Yeah.
That's exactly the reason why, because you can jump up and down and pretend it's not there, but here it is. It's not going away.
Well, so that footprint, really for the geologists, it really screams, if that footprint is real, it screams they are wrong about the way granite is formed.
Yeah, that is quite possible, and that's what I keep reminding them about, is, you know, you can't wish it away, it's there. So what do we do about that? We got to start rethinking, exactly as you mentioned, about our understanding of geological activity. And maybe it's not as clear-cut as we are taught at school. And then there are some other possibilities, and I must share this with you because I think it's important for your viewers to wrap their heads around this. I got an interesting email from a mine prospector in Canada, north of Montreal, in the eastern side of Canada, and he says he's been prospecting gold there and mining gold for decades. It's part of his family tradition. I forget his name now, but with apologies, but he explained to me very clearly, he knows exactly what's going on there. And all these guys that are jumping up and down, getting excited that it's not possible, he says he's seen this happen over and over again, where they seem to have gold in granite, gold deposits in Canada, and they've been mining it for a long time there. And he says when they crush the granite and create a slurry, and they extract the gold and they leave the slurry of granite behind, after a while it hardens again like concrete and becomes hard, and at one stage goes through like a muddy kind of state, right. And if you step in it, will leave behind a footprint. And if I remember correctly, his email said that that kind of thing would happen very easily and can be explained very easily. So that's a possibility as well.
Right.
So whoever was doing this, whoever left that footprint behind, and this clearly a large person, was probably or possibly mining gold.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this ties all back into the gold mines down there. Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. It's certainly getting attention and attraction, and I believe that people should come around and see it.
Yeah. So I know when you first found that, or shortly after, Klaus Donna came down and visited you. Is there anything that's come out of that visit you'd like to share?
Yeah, Klaus and I are continuing our research there in South Africa, around close to where I live, where many of the stone circles are concentrated, and some of the best examples of this vanished civilization is. And we're looking at finding evidence of the Anunnaki, and we've got some interesting information on where there may be some tunnels left behind, and possibly filled with bones, humanoid or human-like bones, and who knows what other artifacts might be in there. So that's what we're working on, and looking for evidence of the Anunnaki, which I believe we're very close to finding.
That would be awesome. So, do you use much local lore in looking around the area?
No, strangely enough, not really. The only really knowledgeable person that I connected with on that field of that area of human history is Credo Mutwa. And Credo obviously agrees pretty much with everything that I'm sharing with you and
Right.
and the people of the world, and gave me a lot of phenomenal and important information, which at different times has pointed me in very specific directions. And I've been very fortunate to find substantiation and physical evidence for what Credo has said on various occasions now.
Right.
And that's exciting. And that's talking about, you know, the fact that Enki is involved there, or as the in African tradition known as Enkai. And secondly, the fact that it's the birthplace of the human race.
So the linguistics there in South Africa use the word Enkai
Yeah.
also, so
Yeah.
that's awful close.
Yeah, and you know, Enki is known as Enkai, as the creator god and the creator of the human race among African shaman and knowledge keepers. And,
There's too many coincidences there.
and you know, it's again the coincidence of Adam's calendar, as I called it. I mean, I'm amazed that I called it Adam's calendar. It was just the name that I came up with because I wanted to find something that would describe origins of humankind.
Right.
And a very ancient site. And little did I know that it would be the site that they claim, and
Right.
we seem to have interesting information pointing to that this is where humanity was cloned, right there. So you can't get much further away from that than that.
Right. You know, there's so many people that raise their eyebrows at when people talk about we were getting cloned, or there were was cloning going on that far back in history. And you know, there's so many civilizations that have risen and fallen here on this planet.
Exactly.
And we've lost so much, and now we're coming back into an era where we ourselves are beginning the cloning processes. And what makes it so far out of question that it's the possibility of us being able to do that in the past, you know? So.
We can clone anything. We can clone animals, we can clone plants, we eat cloned food.
Yeah.
It's called genetically modified food. Well, what is that? It's cloned food.
Right.
That's what it is. Our food shops and stores are filled with cloned food.
Yeah.
And the farmers are going out of business because of cloned seeds by Monsanto and other companies like them. So the cloning thing is, you know, if people still can't get their heads around that, then they're clearly way behind on their own personal information and research. And I would suggest they go and do some research, because they need to catch up very quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
So you follow the Monsanto stuff very closely?
Well, I certainly do, because I'm deeply worried about what Monsanto is doing, and part of the Ubuntu movement, when we launch it in South Africa in September 2012, is going to be get rid of Monsanto. We got to support the farmers in every possible way and move back to providing them with the technology, the know-how, the scientific research that is non-Monsanto, that is organically based, so they can grow phenomenal amounts of food using the natural sources of Gaia and the energetic fields that we have available to us,
Right.
without having to do what Monsanto is doing, which we all know they're doing really just as a
Right.
tool of control, the control of food supply and then control of humanity.
There was an article out recently that Monsanto's corn, their genetically modified corn, has been directly linked to birth defects now.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was applicable across a wide spectrum
right.
of human problems. But the exciting and encouraging thing is that I've just read an article somewhere, it was either before we left South Africa or when we arrived here in the USA, that somewhere in France had just banned some of Monsanto's, I'm not sure what it was, an aspect of Monsanto has been banned in France,
Right.
which is really exciting, because that's a really key moment in history right now.
Yeah, there's more and more people that are climbing on that bandwagon and saying no to that stuff.
Yeah.
So,
But the other important thing is, while we're talking about this, you know, I've been telling people about somebody that's very special to me in South Africa by the name of Paul Grevenstein, who's been working with farmers and healing their crops for 15 years now, with these energies and frequencies, if you can call it that. He claims it's gone beyond frequency. It's not just frequency, it's a source of energy that he's managed to generate that is not necessarily always frequency linked, which is strange. And he called me up the other day and said, you know, what's the chance of us getting some funding anyway, because he needs some help, because Monsanto started blocking his energies in the fields where he's, you know, curing farmers' crops from disease, whether it's fungus or viruses or bacteria, or even things like locusts or flies, whatever. And so that tells us that Monsanto knows what he's doing. They understand the processes that he uses, and they're using it for the detriment of humanity. And that's a major eye-opener as to how sophisticated these groups like Monsanto are.
Right. They're not dummies.
No,
they understand what we're trying to bring out to the public, to the raising the consciousness. They understand all these principles.
So they should be doing what Paul Kravenstein is doing.
Right.
But they're doing everything to the contrary.
Right. So before I let you go here and let you go get ready for your chat today, for the benefit of our viewers here, would you explain what the Ubuntu program is?
Ubuntu is an African word for community-driven existence and living, where people work for the greater benefit of all in their community. It's an ancient tradition, African tradition, and it's something that I embraced in 2005 when I finished writing Slave Species of God, and realized that we've got to move beyond the concept of money and have to start embracing a new world and a new age where money is not used at all. And then that goes hand in hand with no trade, no barter, no value being attached to anything greater or lesser than anything else, because we kept being told that we're all born equal.
Right.
And for a split second we're all equal. And then we become grossly unequal. So gross that it offends most of us.
Right.
And so what Ubuntu is really bringing everything back into absolute equality, where you cannot discriminate or abuse anybody else because of money, because of what you have, more or less than they have, where everybody contributes to the greater benefit of all in their own community that they choose to live in. Communities that work on the basis that if it's not good for everyone, it's no good at all, which all ancient cultures seem to embrace very effectively, until the Europeans arrived some 500 years ago and started decimating native populations around the world and separating us from the knowledge of our ancestors and the honoring of our ancestors and the contact with our ancestors. So here we are, this currently right now, the species which seems to be a species with amnesia. I think Graham Hancock coined that phrase. And they've done that so successfully, because if we don't know who we are and where we come from and what our ancestors were up to, what the hell do we think we're doing here? We have no understanding of our place in the world today, how we've arrived here. And by severing us from our ancestors, they've beautifully set us up to accept the division and the rule and conquer by and rule by division, divide and conquer principles, which apply more spectacularly today than ever before. Well, the contributionism, Ubuntu contributionism principles that I'm sharing with everybody brings it all back to sharing everything with the world, and communities providing what I call abundance on all levels. Because once you have everything available to you at all the time, then what problems do you have? You can travel anywhere you want. All you have to do is contribute to the greater benefit of the communities that you go and visit. And the answers to this are so extremely simple that it takes, some people get it immediately, some people take a little while to just readjust the capitalistic, consumeristic way of thinking. And once that penny drops, it's just beautiful. It's a world of abundance on all levels, and I mean that, whether it's food, water, education, science, technology, free energy, everything just explodes, because money is not the hurdle to progress. It's no longer the obstacle to progress, and everything is possible. After all, people do things. Money does nothing.
Exactly. No, that's definitely been part of my vision for our future too. I was really just bowled over the first time I saw your contributionism videos, and I was like, oh, this guy has got it. He sees it. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, you got it, you understood it before you even saw what I was talking about. There are millions of people that get it without even listening to anyone else talk about it. But sometimes
this talking about it raises its vibration in the conscious field, and that 100th monkey effect starts working.
Yes, and it's also important to talk about it so people lose their fear of talking about it themselves.
Exactly.
Because sometimes they feel a bit embarrassed. I don't know, it's might sound stupid, or you know, if I bring this up, people are going to laugh at me. But also, if you haven't thought it through, and this is the potential problem, if you have not thought it through, which I found 7 years ago when I started talking about this at dinner parties and sharing this, boy, I got attacked every, and I hadn't had any experience about, well, how is this going to work? How is that going to work? How's education and farming and providing of services and all this? How is that going to work? And if you don't have an immediate answer for people, they shoot you down and they think you're an idiot.
Right.
Well, right now, there is nothing you can throw at me that I haven't thought through. But it's taken me 7 years to get to this point.
Right.
Of really deeply analyzing aspects of society. How do we live today, and how will that dramatically change? Completely turn upside down on its head in a moneyless society. Everything changes, but so beautifully and so simply, because what it does, it follows the laws of nature. It's a natural order of things. That's what happens. And money has just screwed everything up. It's divided everything. It's created hierarchy. It's created separation. It's created lows and scarcity and abundance on various levels. And that's the big problem.
Yeah, agreed.
So
you're setting something up through. You're starting something in September. You said.
Yeah. We're launching the Ubuntu Party. I registered a political party. It took a lot of work, 2 years of hard work, of getting signatures and writing manifestos and so forth. And I just got an email last week while in the USA from the IEC, the Independent Electoral Commission in South Africa, that our certificate of registration is on its way and by registered post. So we'll have it when we get back. And we're launching the Ubuntu Party as an official political party in South Africa in September 2012. Just in time for the shift and the rise of consciousness, and again, for people that look at this and go, what the hell are you messing around in politics? Stop. It's not about getting involved in politics. It's about protecting ourselves on a platform of so-called political credibility.
Right.
Okay, because if we don't do it like this, we'll be shut down, arrested, all our efforts will be closed, they'll be ridiculed.
This is one of those intermediary spit it out, Tom. Intermediary steps into this new paradigm.
Yes.
I mean, we have to have something that kind of eases that blow between the government we have now and the structure that we'll have in the future.
Well, can you imagine a bunch of politicians or people that are putting out a political message, saying to the people everything they've always been thinking,
right,
and expecting to hear from the politicians, but never hear anything like that. Now suddenly they're going to hear it from the Ubuntu Party.
Right.
Kick Monsanto out, give the farmers all the scientific support they need to create, beautiful organic agricultural products. Everything to do with society, upliftment of society, and the lack of scarcity on all levels. The freeing up of technology and promoting the discovery of free energy, and the sharing of minerals. The mineral wealth of South Africa doesn't belong to the private corporations, it belongs to the people.
Right.
How dare they take out the guts of our Mother Earth where we live and claim it to be their right? All that's got to come to an end. And some people might see that as oh, it's communism. No, it's not communism. It's none of that. It's something completely different. We've never had this kind of system.
Right.
And I need to stress that because some people do get confused.
Right,
it's got nothing to do with money. Every system we've had as a species has failed us because of what? Money was the common denominator. The moment you remove money, everything changes. And the mineral wealth of the country doesn't need to be exploited on the immense size that is being exploited. We don't need all that gold and that platinum and the silver and the nickel and the chrome and the copper. We don't need all that stuff. We only need a little bit for the technology that we need to aid us.
Right.
If we don't need it to aid us, then why get it out of the ground? We're not going to trade it on the international stock markets anymore. So that's going to create an interesting response from people. And it's not about nationalization. Some people say, oh, you sound like the government, you want to nationalize everything. No. Nationalization means the government takes control of it and ownership of it. We're saying, no, it's the opposite. It belongs to the people, not to any government or any corporation. Subtle but very important differences.
Right, right. I definitely see it. Okay, well, Michael, I guess I'll let you go.
Thanks,
I can't wait for your chat today. It's always enjoy hearing you speak. So
excellent. Yeah, thanks for coming.
You're
Lovely
welcome.
to see you.
Yeah,
And,
good to see you too.
Speak to you afterwards.
Absolutely,
Cool.
absolutely.